Hi there, you're watching All 24 News World News Program, broadcasting to you live from Algiers. To the headlines. Algeria condemns France's refusal to recognize passports as discriminatory abuse of power amid Macron's government's record low popularity in the Fifth Republic history. Algeria doubles down on energy. Sonatrach signs 600 million in oil and gas deals with foreign firms, reinforcing its role as a major energy hub. Gaza death toll rises as attacks hit food queues. 99 dead and 650 wounded in 24 hours, with starvation-related deaths rising to 1,021 and over 6,500 injured since late May. Starvation crisis deepens. The UN warns of rising child deaths, and the WFP says 1 in 3 Palestinians go days without food. Aid remains blocked, and Zionist forces fired on crowds waiting for food. We'll report up next. Welcome back to the program. First of an news tonight. The Algerian Foreign Ministry stated on Monday that France is legally bound to recognize passports issued by the Algerian consulates, asserting that granting travel documents is a sovereign right. The response came after France's Interior Minister told Le Figaro he would order prefectures to reject Algerian-issued passports for residency applications.
The issuance of passports is a right of Algerian citizens and a duty incumbent upon the sovereign Algerian state. Consequently, the recognition of these passports is an obligation for the French state.
A source at the Algerian Foreign Ministry condemned the French Interior Minister's statement as arbitrary, discriminatory, and abuse of power, stressing that it openly contradicts French law itself. The Algerian Foreign Ministry official warned that the French Interior Minister's refusal to recognize Algerian passports breaches both individual rights and France's bilateral commitments.
The same source viewed the French minister's statement as arbitrary and discriminatory, constituting an abuse of authority, as it clearly contradicts French legislation itself. According to the official, the statement carries a blatantly political dimension and is legally unfounded, lacking any basis in French law. The passports in question are in fact issued at the request of the French prefectures themselves as essential reference document required in residence permit applications. Therefore, the French Interior Minister's refusal to recognize these passports constitutes a violation of individual rights and yet another breach of France's bilateral obligations.
Still in France, President Emmanuel Macron and Prime Minister François Bayrou are facing historic disapproval. A new poll shows both leaders hitting record low approval ratings, deepening public frustration and raising questions about the government's future. We're on this story with Karim Faz-Zakri now.
In France, President Emmanuel Macron and Prime Minister François Bayrou have just broken a record, but it's not one to celebrate. According to a new IFOP poll for Le Journal du Dimanche, only 19% of French citizens say they are satisfied with Macron, while Bayrou's approval has dropped to just 18%. This marks the lowest combined approval rating in the history of France's Fifth Republic. Discontent is rising across multiple sectors: artisans, merchants, rural communities, business leaders, and even socialist voters who accuse the government of being out of touch with social realities. The backlash intensified after pension reform talks collapsed, prompting the Socialist Party to file a motion of no confidence against Bayrou's government. With just 37% combined support for the Élysée and Matignon, political analysts warned France is entering uncharted territory of institutional disaffection, a mood that could shape the road to 2027. For now, one thing is clear: the trust gap between the French people and their leaders has never been wider.
Elon Musk's company X accused French prosecutors of launching a politically driven investigation that threatens free speech. In a post on its global government affairs account, X said the probe twists French law to serve a political agenda and vowed not to cooperate with what it called unjustified demands. All the way to Algeria now. State-owned Sonatrach Group signed 5 exploration contracts on Monday with international oil companies. A move officials say strengthens Algeria's role as a key energy investment hub. The deal's worth at least $600 million mark a push to expand the country's hydrocarbon sector. The details with Zahra Farjani.
In a ceremony that marked a turning point and underscored Algeria's key role in the global energy landscape, the Sonatrach Group signed investment deals worth over $600 million to explore the vast natural resources of Africa's largest country. These investments were formalized through 5 hydrocarbon contracts with major international companies.
هذه العقود التي تمتد على مدى 30 سنة.
These contracts span a period of 30 years, including 7 years dedicated to exploration. They involve the implementation of a minimum exploration program during the initial research phases, which includes the processing and reprocessing of 2D and 3D seismic survey data, covering an area of approximately 35,000 square kilometers, the drilling of 32 exploration wells, and the delineation of reservoirs. The total investment is valued at no less than $600 million.
The agreements follow various models, some structured as joint ventures, others based on production sharing, and represent a strategic step toward boosting Algeria's hydrocarbon reserves and boost production.
The contracts we are formalizing today are far more than legal instruments. They represent the foundation of long-term partnerships. We are embarking upon a relationship founded on mutual trust, where your success is tied to ours. Our collective effort will contribute to Algeria's energy sovereignty and economic diversification.
With growing interest and trust from global partners, Algeria is positioning itself as a regional energy hub. The country successfully launched its first tender under the new hydrocarbons law, a process praised for its transparency and efficiency.
To our esteemed international partners present today, dear partners, by participating in the Algeria Bid Round 2024, you've shown a strategic commitment. We have chosen to invest not only in Algeria's vast hydrocarbon potential, but also in a nation profoundly dedicated to stability and ongoing modernization.
Against the backdrop of rapidly evolving geopolitical dynamics, these contracts signed with Sonatrach highlight Algeria's emergence as a reliable and strategic destination for large-scale energy investments. They also reflect the nation's commitment to sustainable development and long-term energy independence for future generations.
Defense and Chief of Staff of the People's National Army General Said Chingriha reaffirmed the Army's commitment to turning its military industries into a driver of national industrial revival. During a visit to the Central Supply Base in the 1st Military Region, he inspected modern equipment and launched new projects, including a battery production line aimed at achieving self-sufficiency for the Algerian Army.
لقد جسدنا فعلا في الجيش الوطني الشعبي.
Within the People's National Army, the development of this key central base reflects our commitment to gradual, steady progress toward our objectives. We've adopted the motto, nothing is impossible when it comes to achieving our goals, no matter the challenges. In this spirit, we're working tirelessly to turn this facility into a strategic logistics hub, transforming it, alongside other industrial enterprises and other military manufacturing directorate, into a real springboard for developing a promising national military industry.
نهضة صناعية عسكرية وطنية واعدة.
Saudi ambassador to Algeria, Khatri Khatri, stressed on Monday that the UN must ensure self-determination for Western Sahara, dismissing any solutions outside UN and AU frameworks. Speaking at a press conference in Algiers, he reaffirmed his government's stance against alternative settlement attempts.
خارج أولاً إطار الأمم المتحدة.
First of all, outside the framework and path of the United Nations and international legality, it is not possible to seek a fair and lasting solution to the Sahrawi issue. This just and lasting solution is, in fact, outlined in the current project, which, as you know, is a joint initiative between the United Nations and the African Union, as clearly explained by His Excellency the Ambassador of South Africa and President of the firm. Another important point is that there is a strong emphasis on the fact that any current attempt to deviate from this legal and legitimate framework is an effort that is bound to fail.
يعني بالتأكيد أنها آيلة إلى الفشل.
The Sahrawi ambassador to Algeria warned that any attempt to bypass the legal framework for the Western Sahara issue is bound to fail, urging all parties to respect the Sahrawi people's struggle for self-determination.
تحديد الوضع النهائي للصحراء الغربية.
The final status of Western Sahara must be determined solely through the genuine and explicit expression of the will of the Sahrawi people, as they are the only rightful holders of sovereignty. Therefore, it is them who must decide the question of sovereignty. Sovereignty does not belong to anyone except the Sahrawi people. Any solutions proposed by the Moroccan occupations cannot serve as a basis for resolution, as they bypass or attempt to override sovereignty over Western Sahara in order to impose an illegal and illogical status on the territory.
السيادة على الصحراء الغربية لكي تمنح للصحراء الغربية يعني وضعية غير قانونية وغير منطقية أبدا.
In related news stories, Sahrawi National Council President Hamma Salama urged African leaders to unite in support of the Sahrawi cause, calling it essential to complete the continent's decolonization. Speaking at the Pan-African Parliament in South Africa, he stressed that freeing all Sahrawi territory is key to regional stability and balance.
المتمثل في أن يكون مؤسسة الصلاة والسلام. وبهذه المناسبة نعبر عن امتناننا العميق.
On this occasion, we express our deep gratitude for the principled stances taken by many democratic forces within our Pan-African Parliament in supporting the cause of the Sahrawi people, in line with the objectives and the principles of the Constitutive Act of the African Union, and in defense of freedom, justice, democracy, and the rights of individuals and peoples. This session is a special opportunity for us to express our sincere appreciation for the recent efforts undertaken by our Pan-African Parliament to promote continental unity and integration and to contribute to shaping our joint African decisions. We also highly commend your dedication to serving the peoples of Africa and your commitment to strengthening the unity and solidarity of our nations and peoples.
Shifting focus to the Middle East development, and we start with the Gaza file. Occupation strikes on civilians awaiting food aid claimed more lives on Monday, with 6 killed near Gaza City's Netzarim axis and 3 others at the U.S.-backed aid point in Rafah. Gaza's health ministry reported 99 dead and 650 wounded in the past 24 hours, bringing the starvation-related death toll to 1,021 since late May. The ministry condemned the ongoing attacks near 8 distribution centers that have now wounded over 6,500 Palestinians as well. Gaza's health ministry reported 19 new starvation-related deaths on Monday, including a young girl and an infant, as the enclave hunger crisis due to the Zionist occupation blockade worsens. The latest fatalities bring the documented toll of malnutrition victims to dozens in recent weeks amid crippling aid restrictions.
We never imagined we'd reach a day when a citizen would die of hunger, but this has become the grim reality in Gaza. People are literally starving to death because there's simply no food. The scenes are horrifying. We're talking about a person who has turned into a skeleton, someone who hasn't eaten for a long time. This victim is essentially raising his complaint to God against all the Arab and Western officials who have allowed this to happen. Today, Mohammed al-Sufiri has passed away. But tell me, world, do you really believe Mohammed al-Sufiri will be the last person to die from famine? He won't be, not if things continue like this. Aid is being let in for political reasons, not for humanitarian ones, and that's something we cannot accept.
Gaza faces catastrophic hunger, with tens of thousands of children and women now requiring emergency malnutrition treatment, according to the UN reports. Infant mortality rates are surging as aid remains blocked from entering the besieged territory. Samansi reports.
Severe malnutrition has led to open wounds on the skull of 14-year-old Palestinian boy Musab al-Dabbas, disfiguring his appearance and leaving him bedridden at the Shifa hospital in Gaza City. For 78 days, he has remained motionless as doctors struggle to help him amid a crippling shortage of essential medicines and medical supplies.
He's 14 years old. He was injured on the 7th of May. He was detained in the Andalusian prison, and during his detention there, he developed skull ulcers. He is suffering from severe malnutrition as a result of the injury. He also suffers from limited mobility. He cannot move his arms or legs. His weight used to be 40 kilograms, but now he has lost 10 kilograms.
Oday Habib, yet another child from the besieged Gaza Strip, bears the visible toll of deprivation. At just 9 months old, his frail body is wasting away, the result of a critical lack of infant formula and vital nutritional supplements essential for his growth and survival. His life now hangs in the balance, urgently needing medical attention.
He is the only survivor in our family. His condition is deeply concerning. Because of the war, he is severely malnourished, as you can see. He has no access to milk, diapers, or even the most basic necessities. For the past 3 months, his health has continued to deteriorate. He now weighs only 5 kilograms.
Musab and Oday are not isolated cases. According to UNRWA, screenings of 70,000 children in Gaza uncovered nearly 5,500 cases of severe acute malnutrition, including more than 800 classified as critical. This alarming situation calls for an immediate international intervention to pressure the Zionists to lift the blockade and ensure the rapid delivery of life-saving aid to the Gaza Strip.
The World Food Programme warned that hunger in Gaza has reached unprecedented levels, with 1 in 3 Palestinians going days without food. In its Monday report, the WFP said Zionist occupation tanks and snipers opened fire on crowds waiting for aid, killing several. It urged the international community to ensure immediate food access for Gaza's starving population. Still with Palestine-related news, at least 23 Palestinians were killed and dozens injured as occupation shelling struck displaced persons in central and northern Gaza Strip. In Jabalia and Nazla, a drone strike killed 5, while an airstrike hit a water plant in Arimal, killing another 5. Shelling in Gaza city center and a Daraj claimed 6 lives, including a child. Further airstrikes on Deir al-Balah, al-Burij, and al-Nusayrat camps killed 7 more. In the south, Nasser Medical Complex reported 12 murders in Khan Yunis, including 5 members of one family, 1 woman and 3 children, when their tents was hit in Al-Mawasi area. Another 3, including a child, were killed in a separate tent strike, plus 2 killed in a house and 2 more in Al-Qadisiyah camp. The Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza announced that 134 martyrs and 1,155 wounded arrived at hospitals across the Strip in the past 24 hours. In a statement issued on Monday, the ministry confirmed that the total death toll from the ongoing Zionist war of extermination has risen to 59,029 martyrs and 142,135 wounded since the start of the aggression. Elsewhere in the Middle East, on Monday morning, the Zionist Air Force launched new airstrikes on Yemen, targeting the port of Hodeidah. A Houthi security official confirmed that a dock recently rebuilt after a prior strike was destroyed in the latest bombing. Meanwhile, the Yemeni Houthi group announced drone strikes on 5 key targets in the occupied Palestinian territories. Military spokesman Yahya Sariyah said in a Monday video that the attacks hit Ben Gurion Airport, Ramoun Airport, Umar Ashrash Airport, and military sites in occupied Astud and Jaffa.
نفذ سلاح الجو المسير.
The Yemeni Armed Forces drone unit carried out a special military operation targeting Lod Airport, a military site in the Jaffa area, the port of Omar Rashrash, Ramoun Airport, and a vital facility in the Ashdod area in occupied Palestine, using 5 drones.
In Lebanon, a Lebanese man was killed in a Zionist airstrike on the town of At-Tairi, south of the country. According to the Lebanese National News Agency, a Zionist occupation warplane targeted a motorcycle in the Vintage Bill district, killing 1 person. In Syria, Interior Minister Anis Khattab announced that security forces have restored calm in As-Suwaida Governorate after deploying to its northern and western areas and enforcing a ceasefire. He said the move marks a first step toward curbing armed chaos, securing the region, and preparing for prisoner exchange and the return of normal life. Turning to another development, the Sudanese armed forces have begun withdrawing from residential areas in Khartoum following a Sovereignty Council decision to clear the capital of all armed groups within 2 weeks. According to the Sudanese news agency, troops have started relocating from neighborhoods like North Bahri to ease humanitarian suffering and help displaced residents return. Let's catch up on more international news stories in the News in Brief, compiled to us by Kareem Faz-Zakri and Salman Nasib.
Iran is resuming nuclear talks with Germany, France and Britain this Friday in Istanbul. The discussions mark the first round since the recent Zionist strikes on Iran. Tehran says it remains committed to serious diplomacy. Meanwhile, Iran will also meet with China and Russia next Tuesday to address potential sanctions threats from Europe. Kiev's mayor confirmed that a massive Russian airstrike killed 1 person early Monday and sparked fires in the capital. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia launched 426 drones and 24 missiles overnight, but most were intercepted. Only 23 drones reached their targets. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says Washington is close to sealing a trade deal with the European Union, but some sticking points remain. The EU is preparing retaliatory measures after the US threatened new tariffs starting August 1st. Talks are ongoing, but the clock is still ticking. Colombian President Gustavo Petro accused 2 mining companies of violating the government's export ban by continuing to send coal to the Zionist entity. Petro made the remarks during a speech marking Colombia's 215th Independence Day.
That's the end of our news program for tonight. For more updates, you can always check our social media platforms as well as our website. Miss Lam, thank you so much for tuning in. Take care.